TIU men's and women's soccer has gotten their preseason underway here with head coach Patrick Gilliam. Coach, you've got two programs that are getting ready for the start of a busy season here. You've already been pretty busy yourself, obviously, with taking the teams to Costa Rica and getting things kind of underway for the upcoming matches over the next couple of weeks. First off, talk about that trip you guys took to Costa Rica, some of the details with that.
Yeah. We went down for about 8 to 10 days. We spent most of our time in San Jose, Costa Rica. Went with Christ for the City International, a missionary group there, and worked at various sites. We worked at a high school, we worked at a couple children's ministries, did everything from manual labor, some of our guys and ladies were a part of that, to soccer clinics and just interaction. We did a lot of interaction. We worked in a high school in an English classroom, which was really something I got to do, which I thought was one of the highlights of the trip for me, just working with Costa Rican high school students who were in an English class just like we would have a Spanish class here in the United States, and working on just general conversation with them and some exercises, and showed a PowerPoint of about our school and our university and where we're located and so on. And then we played matches down there. We did some futsal matches which were a little more informal, and then we played full 11-on-11 matches. I believe the guys ended up with 2 matches. We had 1 cancellation, and the ladies ended up with 3 or 4. And we didn't suffer a defeat down there. I think we had a couple draws, and all the other matches were wins. Good competition, probably. We were scheduled to play the University of Costa Rica, and we were excited about that, and really excited about that. And there was a scheduling kind of mix-up, and those games got canceled. So it would have been nice to test ourselves against them, because the University of Costa Rica team is actually, their top team is a team in the Costa Rican Professional League. So this probably would have been a reserve team of theirs, but certainly a very competent opponent. We got to get testimonies after games. We would, after every match, we would, through a translator, have one of the players share just a little bit about their relationship with the Lord, why they play soccer, how they play for a bigger and higher purpose, and we just had some really good interaction time with high school students, opponents that we played, and I was very proud of the students. It wasn't a trip that we mandated, it was something that student support raised for, and so between the 2 programs we had about 36 players go. So probably over a third, not quite a half, of the 2 programs went, and just got back on Saturday before we started preseason last Monday. So it was a good trip though.
Sounds like a great opportunity for the team to kind of come together a little bit earlier and bond a little better.
Yeah, we had 11 of our women's freshmen, and so for them it's just an outstanding opportunity to build relationships with upperclassmen and their teammates, and so that was a good sizable chunk of our recruiting class on the women's side that got to make the trip. And yeah, you're right, some of that cohesiveness and the team bonding and that begins early on a trip like that, and it impacts your selflessness kind of meter as well, when you go to a place and work with people sometimes much less fortunate than yourselves. It puts things like playing time and wins and losses in perspective.
Now the teams are back on campus. You guys have had a week to get together and practice here. One of the kind of things that I guess technically go on during that preseason before students, or the rest of the students are on campus and before you got matches underway.
Well, one of the things is they get to be a little bit like probably the closest they come at this point in their lives to being a professional athlete. They don't have any school focus. Obviously orientation will come up and we will prioritize that. Some of them are involved in some student leadership groups and they have meetings for that, but classes don't begin until later in the month, and so they can predominantly focus on soccer. And we begin every day with devotions at 8 a.m. We come together, the 2 programs, right outside the dining hall, and just spend some time in God's Word. Coaches lead that generally, and in the preseason, and it's a chance for them to get to know us a little bit and hear our hearts, and that we have a bigger purpose, hopefully, than just what happens on the field. And then we'll have a morning session. The morning session tends to be a little bit more technical. We're getting some of our foundational things done, basic passing, movement off the ball. The afternoon, we'll do a little bit of finishing and going to goal. And in the morning also, I didn't say this, we work more on our team defense, work more on our team offense in the afternoon, and that's why we do finishing and things. And then we'll work on set pieces, corner kicks and free kicks in the afternoon as well. We try in the afternoon to do some of our more walk-through things because of the heat of the day. And then every evening we have scrimmage, an inter-squad scrimmage. It just gives us a chance to evaluate talent, evaluate players in an 11-on-11 setting. You know, the drills show us a lot, but we want to see them not just for talent evaluation, but even just where we're going to play people and how they fit into our system. We would use the evening scrimmages really to do that. So we feel like, and then we'll take a session off and have a classroom meeting to work on some things tactically at times. I kind of place those periodically throughout camp so that we're not doing 3-a-days for 5-6 days in a row, and try to break it up a little bit so that the bodies can recover and we can get out of camp healthy. So yeah, that's kind of the rhythm we go with, and we found it effective over the years, and we're running into a little issue here now with weather. Just had rain and lightning, and so we're losing pieces of sessions, but our athletic training staff's doing a good job of keeping us safe and taking care of us, and it's the Lord's will. There's not much we can do, you know, so we just we adjust and make the best of it.
In some of those sessions, who are some of the players you see on both the men's and women's teams, whether it be newcomers or returners, who have really kind of surprised you as far as, you know, really taking a step up in what you expected from them, or kind of surpassed the bar you've got?
I would say, well, one of the things I was thinking there, and I totally forgot to mention, one of the things we've added is positional training. Kind of modeling, if the best example I could think of would be off of football. Probably see it in baseball as well, and it's something I've been investigating a lot in the last year, and then finally formalized a way for us to do it. And so all the players have positions assigned to them. We would have our back four together, we would have our midfield together, and then what we would call our attacking players, whether they're forwards or attacking mids. And they're each assigned a coach, and in training camp twice a day, and in the regular season twice a week, we're going to have positional training sessions. And so probably as I answer your question, Greg, I'll probably think more heavily about the defenders because I'm seeing the whole team as a head coach, but I work specifically with the back lines. I would say this, I know that our two men's captains, Noah Smith and Zach Miller, have really, they both went to Costa Rica. Our numbers on the men's side were smaller in Costa Rica, so Zach actually moved from a midfield spot back to the back line working with Noah, and the two of them in the center back have just been outstanding. And so, Zach's one that a missions trip maybe kind of forced a position change, but it helped us see him in a different light. And him and Noah have a good partnership as two leaders on the team, but both very fit, very ready for the season, came in very prepared, good leaders, vocal, aggressive, strong, fearless. And so, I'd say I've been telling the players that at the highest level, coaches now are saying that you kind of build your team around your center backs because so often you build the play from there, and then obviously they're very integral into keeping the ball out of your net. So I think those two guys have done a great job. I'm impressed with some of our freshmen. I don't know if I name anybody specifically at this point, just being a few days into camp, but I would say that our recruiting class, and I pulled the freshman guys aside and told them this, even the guys who may not break through into full starting roles this season or early in this season, you could look 1 year down the road, 2 years down the road, and you can see, even positionally, it's like we've kind of have it balanced. We have a guy that you could see being a starting forward in a year or two, and you can see a triangle in the midfield of players that are all freshmen now. And so we're excited about the recruiting class. We've had a couple transfers as well that have impressed so far. So we definitely think the talent level is up, which is something we wanted to do, but we wanted to make sure we didn't compromise the type of young man, character and integrity-wise, that we're looking for. And so I'm excited for the guys, and they're working very hard right now and kick off with a scrimmage tomorrow night. On the women's side, we return 8 starters, so that's a nice problem to have, I guess. I guess it's not a problem, it's a nice situation to have. And so obviously we have, we're excited about those returning players that that are on a class. Those 8 starters, most of them, not all of them, but a majority of those 8 starters are part of our senior class. Our senior class is a class that as freshmen I think began the year 8-0 and probably ran into a little of that freshman wall with fatigue and that, and still had a strong season, but at the very end fell off a little bit. Sophomore and junior year, they helped lead us to an NAI national tournament. And again, not just that class, but you and I both know that there are a number of seniors that were, this year's seniors, that were in those two season starting lineups. And so they come in with the right balance, I think, of humility, recognizing that, you know, they had others that went with them, people who graduated and since moved on, or younger classes that are still here, but a confidence level that they've been a strong team and they've competed at the highest level and done well in our conference, which is a very good conference. So having 8 returning starters and having a number of them be seniors, that just greases the wheel so much for you as a coach. You know, you think, hey, it would be good if a player stepped up and said this, and before you can even recommend it, it's been said by a senior already. And so I'm pleased with those girls, obviously, and then kind of like the men, I would say that the recruiting class is very capable. And I mentioned 11 of them went to Costa Rica, and so a whole other 10 days of playing our system, integrating with the team. But there's a number of our incoming freshman players who I think are going to fill some of those gaps that we lost from players in the past couple years. So yeah, it's exciting. You know, I would say normally a class like we had of the seniors, many times you don't replace that class until they're gone. But this year's seniors, that sizable chunk of players who have been to 2 straight NAI tournaments, they're paired with quality returners in the junior and sophomore class, and then this freshman class of almost 15. We're really excited that this year's freshmen get to play with this year's seniors, kind of be mentored by them and just shown the way, because this class of 2015-16 is definitely a legacy class in our program. You know, players like Sam and Kelsey and Kat, Gina, Morgan, and so on. You know, there's so many of them that have been very substantial contributors here. So it's wonderful that this year's freshmen get to play with those seniors.
The men's team, home opener Wednesday, September 2nd against Missouri Baptist. Women are going a little earlier. A week from tomorrow, a rematch with the Masters out in California, the NAIA tournament foe from a year ago. Should be a very, very exciting match. I'm sure you guys are looking forward to it. Coach, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Greg.